Good morning and welcome to this morning's episode of the Amateur in the Morning. So today is the 12th of October, right? Let me just double check that. Yes, today is the 12th of October. It is a beautiful Monday morning. And as usual, I will be breaking down the charts for this morning or for today and have a look at exactly what we will be looking at on these charts this week or for the day at least minimum. Now, as usual, just throwing my little disclaimer in there. Remember, I am not qualified to offer investment advice, financial advice, trading advice, or any money advice whatsoever, right? So any decisions that you make is purely rested on your shoulders, and it's purely decisions that you need to make based on your own experience or an analysis that you have done on your side. From what I provide today, it's purely just my opinion on these markets, and it's trades that I'm going to be taking based on the fact that I am using cash that I'm willing to risk in this instance. So without further ado, let's just get straight into the session. It's a Monday morning. I just want to get this out there as soon as possible. So we're going to be looking at the regular charts, which is volatility 100, 75, 50, and 10. This is actually my first time looking at the charts since the last video I did on Saturday morning. Right, so I'm going to be experiencing everything as well, pretty much brand new with you guys. So let's look at our volatility 100 and let's look at the daily time frame. And as you can see on the daily time frame, price is basically been respecting the zones that we've had drawn on these charts. Now, I did have this zone up in here drawn as a possible rejection zone that price will retrace off. And as you can see, that is currently playing out really, really well at the moment. Now, I'm anticipating that price will be aiming for these equal lows that we've got over here, right? So by the end of today, we might most likely will see price coming back down into this area, or perhaps sometime tomorrow, we should see price coming back down into this area. As I did mention that overall on the higher time frame, we are bearish on volatility 100, right? The buys that I was referring to is basically just a retracement of this overall sells to the downside. Now, what we can see is we can see price just pretty much continue and just keep going down. To be quite honest, that is a huge probability because of how bearish the weekly time frame is. One of the things that I would look at is this Fibonacci from there to there. And I would look at perhaps price coming down into the money zone down here, which is some levels that I do aim on the Fibonacci. If I go back, however, and I look at the zone, I'm not sure if you guys do recall, but I did have a zone drawn in down here. And more than likely what should happen is price should be revisiting this zone over here to the downside. So overall, we are currently bearish on volatility 100. As you can see, even on the H4 time frame that we've got this price just rushing over to the downside. And overall, like I said, it is aiming to come back into these areas over here to the downside. So what we can most likely do is if you have not been participating in any of this downward momentum, what I would be doing in this instance is I would be looking for price to revisit this area over here. And on price revisiting this area, I would look to probably go short based on that, right? Overall momentum, overall momentum on the upside has been depleted. As you can see, price did try to make new highs and it basically fell down. It attempted to make new highs again and it's now dropped to the downside. Once market structure is broken over to the downside, then our overall momentum is showing that we are looking for a further push over to the downside, right? So what we can be targeting is, like I said, targeting in this zone in here that I initially had drawn in. That's what basically I would be targeting if I were to get in on any sales at this point, right? Let's move on to volatility 75. Excuse me. Looking at volatility 75, as you can see that basically from last week, what's actually happened is price did react from this zone. You can look at some of the other episodes where I did speak about this area as a possible sell opportunity, and that basically worked out very well. Overall, I did say that price should be targeting over here into this bottom pink zone in here. And as you can see that we could see a possible retracement happening today. So if you look at perhaps your 4-hour time frame, I did have this fib that I had drawn in here last week. And I did advise that, any participation in me moving further to the downside, I would have to see a Fibonacci setup perhaps at around 50% of the fib, or slightly higher than that, right? So that is basically something that you should look for. If you are looking to go short, the safest opportunity for me right now would be to go short from around that area in there, because that would be a very high confluence zone if you look at it, because, sorry about that. That would be a very high confluence zone, because if you look at it in the overall picture of what's happening, that would be a nice third touch on this trend line that's been forming in here. It should perhaps break above it a little bit and then push back down. Not only will that be that, it's also a retest of this broken market structure that we've got in here as well, that needs to be retested before we see any continuation to the downside of the bearish momentum. So overall, I'm still bearish on the volatility 75, but for today, I am most likely expecting it to push up to create new highs, a lower high perhaps in terms of market structure, if you want to look at it, a lower high of this daily chart in here, because we've got the lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and we'll be looking for a new lower high to form to go further back down to the downside, right? And that's basically what I'm looking at on volatility 75. As I did say on last week's episode as well, on Friday, you can go back and have a look at that. I am not currently trading volatility 75. The reason for that is because I'm waiting for it to create some clean structure, and then I can participate perhaps in that long-term buyback to the upside or something like that. But for now, I'm not looking at participating in anything at this point, because I don't like the structure of this market at this point, right? Let's move on to volatility 50. Now, even this, I hope, if you have been watching these sessions over the past couple of days, that you did get an opportunity to maybe participate in this volatility 50 buy, because I have been speaking about this zone in here when price was basically leaving this side. At the upside around here, I've been speaking about it, all this area, all this movement. I have been making notes that price should come back into this pink zone that I've highlighted over here, and then I'll most likely be looking to participate in buys. Unfortunately, I was not trading this weekend. I did take one trade on Saturday, and that was for the account build challenge that I'm basically doing another series on that. But other than that, I have not participated in anything over this weekend. So I will basically be getting back into the swing of things today and looking at what exactly I want to do on this chart. Now, when I look at this, this overall, to be quite honest, this would be a buy for me. And I will be targeting this gray zone over here to the upside, as I have been speaking about in this instance. Now, obviously, we have to see if price can perhaps break above this area of structure in here. If we see it break above this area, then in more cases than none, we will see price come back and retest this level in here before we see it going long. So let me just clear that up. We'll see price come back and retest this area after it breaks to the upside, perhaps come back into here, and then look for a long back to the upside, right? So overall on volatility 50 currently, I am currently buy bias at the moment. And the reason for that is because it's basically tapped into the zone that I've been looking for it to tap into for a buy, right? So I would be looking to see if I can get in some buy opportunities during the course of today, tomorrow, or whenever I do get an opportunity to buy. And I will be targeting that gray zone over there to the upside that I have. Sorry, I'm just checking this flip. So I will be targeting that gray zone that I have highlighted up there. Now we can see on the fib, we haven't really had a retest into the money zone as well. So that is just something to be wary of, in that price could come, let me just get this off here. In that price could come back into the zone, we see it retest and perhaps hold as resistance in this area, and we could see price just keep on pushing over and creating structure further to the downside. So that is something that is very possible, right? And like I said, that is why I said any buys that I would be looking to take now, since they're not right here, any buys I would be looking to take now would be above this area in here, right? So I would have to see price come back above here and hold some sort of support above here. Because another thing you have to look at in this instance is look at the other tools as well. We've got this upward trend line that was developing in here. We see on the third touch that price failed to create a new high on the third touch. It created a lower high and then pushed down and created a lower low, right? So that could another possibility or another probability that we could see on here is price come back into this area here, do like a retest of the trend line and then push down. Not only that, in terms of market structure, create a lower high, right? And then push further back down to the downside. So that is something that's very possible at the moment. Hence, I like to jump in on my entry where I have marked. And if I've missed that area, I really don't jump in. Even if I know that price could go all the way to the upside, I won't jump in until I get some clear confirmations on here. When I look at the 4-hour time frame, on the 4-hour time frame, there isn't really much clear structure to prove that price is going to look to create, further upside in this instance. So I would look to see exactly what happens in terms of the rejections and so forth. And then I'll be most likely looking for upward momentum. But for now, it is very possible that we could see this market just create a lower high and push further to the downside. Let's look at volatility 10. This has basically been the champion of the past couple of weeks or the past week, if I can say that. The reason for that is because, it reacted pretty strongly to a level that I had highlighted previously below here. I have removed it since because, it's no longer like of use at the moment, if I can say that. So now I am focused on this gray zone in here. I think I did speak about volatility 10 last week and say that we could see a possible retracement of this level that I had marked in here. And as you can see that it did basically retrace off that level and it's found some sort of support in this current gray block that I've got marked here. Overall targets for volatility 10 are all the way to the upside. For today, however, what I would expect to see is a continuation of this bullish momentum. If we do not get a continuation of this bullish momentum, I do not want to see price close over to the downside in this instance, right? As long as this little gray block that we've got in here holds as a support level, we still have buying opportunities over to the upside. We'll still be targeting buy opportunities. And that's purely based on this area here holding, right? Once price starts to break below here, then it's no longer a valid opportunity for us to go long, right? But for now, I do see price holding this area, and a good area to be targeting will be that pink zone that I have been speaking about for the past couple of weeks. When I look at the 4-hour time frame on volatility 10, I do see that this level is holding pretty strongly. We can see the price broke above, came back, retested about 3 or 4 times already, and this level seems to be holding pretty strongly. So overall, this still seems to be a very good opportunity to go over to the long side, right? But obviously, like I said, I will be dropping out to lower time frames. And if I can get some good opportunities, then I'll most likely look to participate in this. If not, however, I will be waiting to see when I can participate in the buys. But I am still buy bias on volatility 10. So that's it from my side. Just one more thing that I want to speak about on this specific chart here. We've got volatility 25-1S. Now I have been speaking about 25-1S with the paid group guys. Because we do those trading sessions on a daily basis. So I have been speaking about 25-1S in the fact that I am expecting to see it come back down into the zone. And as you can see, that currently it is coming down into the zone. Overall, on the higher time frames, I am bearish bias on this, right? And I have been expecting to see price come into the zone, but see this zone holding as a possible support, and then we see price come back up into this area around there, right? Overall, however, price has broken into some of the significant lows in here, found a lot of liquidity, and you can see a huge displacement of bullish momentum here to the upside. So what we can see is even if we get a retracement into this bullish push to the upside, then we can participate in some further buys into that pink zone to the upside, right? But overall, remember the higher time frame, which is the weekly, is currently bearish at the moment, right? So we will see if we do get price trying to push higher, right? It's not a guarantee at this point, but if we do get price trying to push higher off this gray or what is it, like salmon colored zone that I've got in here, then we will be looking to see if we can get some buys further up to the upside to catch a nice sell opportunity off this little pink block that I've got highlighted, or this pink zone that I've got highlighted. However, if that does not happen, then we will see if price does break and start creating new lows, then I will be looking to see price pull back into the zone again, and I'll look to go short from that instance, right? But for now, I am still looking for lower time frame buy retracements to the upside to see if we can then participate in that long-term sell back to the downside on volatility 25-1S. So this is a new one that I am adding on this morning session. I'm not really going to get too much into the analysis because it's just a by the way at the moment. It's moving very, very nicely. Hence, I said, let me just talk about it. Right. So this is just a by the way for now. And if we do get some really good opportunities of this, then we'll be able to take some buys. As you can see, even on the H4 chart, this zone has been holding very, very strongly. We saw price try to come down and it found some sort of support in these previous levels in here, and it's pushed to the upside. Now we see that price has managed to reach back into the zone, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 H4 candles that have basically come in here and pushed off. That's almost 2 days of rejection from this specific level, right? So this is telling us that this level is currently holding very strongly. And if it does allow, then I'll look to participate in buys back to the upside to that pink zone that I've highlighted on the daily zone, right? You can see another thing in this instance is a bit of a bearish trend line that's developing in here. So, you know, you can, if you trade trend lines and stuff, then you can look at your trend line and you look for a break for retest, and then you look to take it further back to the upside. But overall, I am looking for short-term buys on here to participate in that long-term sell back down to the downside. Cool. So that's it from my side. You know, not really much that I can speak about on the charts this morning. Hopefully, I'll be on the charts for the remainder of today, and we'll have a really nice talk in tomorrow's session regarding the movements that we've had so far and what we can progress on based on that. But overall, for now, not much has changed on the charts, and we're still looking to, you know, just get in and get out and just make that money. So it's been a pleasure, as always, for me to share. Until next time, I am wishing you a blessed and a profitable trading day, and I will catch up with you guys again tomorrow.